Well, it's St. Patty's Day Monday. I'm wearing my green hoodie. Shouldn't be wearing a hoodie, but it's cold in the shade and hot in the sun. But St. Patty's Day, so that means we're playing with something green. And I got my green. Hopefully we can continue the life of the green paint a little longer. So while Matt is doing the burn down strips, I'm going to go through and get a couple of the little rust spots off. I've already sanded this one down a little bit, but I actually think I'm going to pull that arm off to make it a little easier. And then like right in here. But what I'm doing is just going through and doing that pretty much and coming back with a layer of paint. And then we're going to hit our wheels here like on the hubs, and that's all dirt, but really anywhere where the nitrogen didn't really get washed off and it sat and corroded it a little bit. And then we've got some like wear marks here and just random little spots, nothing major. So we only got like 2 or 3 cans of paint, which is high dollar green paint. So yeah, while Matt is doing the strip spraying, I'm gonna be getting our green thing re-greened. But yeah, you can see where the boom just sits and drips pretty much. You can't wash it while it's still dripping because it just forms up. And then that nitrogen is some bad stuff. But like you can see here, kind of like where the tank sits on the main frame here. I'm gonna try and get something up in that crack, and I'm gonna see if we can't save the life of our existing green paint with just a little hour or 2 worth of sanding and a little hour or 2 worth of painting. But I mean, you can see here on our back booms here, I've got circles about where everything's gonna go. I mean, I didn't even get that part right there. It's just little random ins and outs, and makes the back of the sprayer look pretty terrible. So you can see why I wrote whole boom. I mean, that whole back boom right there is probably gonna have to pop a bolt off to really get it good. But yeah, that's what I'm doing. Matt's spraying strips, and I'm keeping the green down here. I'm about a quarter of the way done with this back boom here. I haven't really gone all the way around or anything like that, but this is taking longer than it was supposed to. You can see I've got that bracket cleaned up, and this bracket I still ain't touched. But like in and out of here, everything that's shiny has already been touched. But this is taking a lot longer than I anticipated. So I don't know what time it is, but I've been back from lunch for probably 2 hours now. And that's 2 hours worth of work, give or take. I don't know what time it is. It ain't gonna paint itself, and it ain't gonna sand itself, so I'm gonna get back to it. We'll grow out to look pretty mean and clean by the time we're done with it.
All right, now we got done spraying for the day. Yeah, I know it's not dark yet, but we really need to quit an hour before sunlight. Otherwise, the plant activity shuts down, and it really doesn't take up the Roundup real good, and you don't get very good kill on the annual ryegrass. So anyway, we had a good day. Got about 60 acres covered today, but now it's time to get back down here in the shop. And like I said, Andy's working on getting the rusty spots on the sprayer shined up, getting all the rust off to where he can paint them. And looks like he's been hard at work and gotten a lot done. Unfortunately, there's just a lot of places like, back up in that crack that there's going to be some rust, but unless you just disassemble it, you're not going to be able to get it all, but he's doing a pretty good job. Looks like he wound up taking off the back bar here on the rear booms, and you know, he's got the grinder on them and got them shined up real nice, about ready for some paint once he gets finished up. And this is just something we try to do because these sprayers, you know, they spray, you know, corrosive chemicals all year long. You know, spray out liquid nitrogen fertilizer, which is a lot of salt, which can be highly corrosive. And as much as these machines cost, you know, we try to keep it in absolutely tip-top shape. I think this is a 2018 model, so it's got about 4,500 hours on it. So it's definitely high hours for the for the year that it is. But anything we can do to just you know, extend the life of this sprayer and nipping rust in the bud before it has a chance to progress very much is definitely one way to do that. Because the longer that you let rust go before you try to get rid of it, eradicate it, you know, it's just going to make it just that much harder to it's just going to make it that much harder to eradicate. So anyway, what I'm going to try to do, Kelly went and got our seal kit. Well, where'd I put the dang seal? Oh, there it is. She went and got our seal kit right there to get this fixed up. And you don't know what this silicon carbide seal and one O-ring cost from John Deere? $165. But still cheaper than a pump. This pump right here was like $3,300 and stuff. So I'm telling you what. Something else I was wanting to replace was the impeller here, which I know you can't see, but there, you know, there's some wear around the impeller right there on the edge where it's been spinning. And it spins inside this stainless steel ring, which I can feel some wear on it. And I was wanting to replace the impeller and that ring too. I can get the impeller, a little over $100 for the impeller, but this stainless steel wear ring is not sold separately. To get it, you got to replace this whole half of the housing, which was like $450. I'm sorry, that's just absolutely insane. I mean, it's obvious that that ring is separate from the housing, but to not offer it, not be able to replace it, you got to replace the whole freaking housing, which the whole housing doesn't need replacing. So anyway, with that extreme cost, I decided against doing anything for that because, you know, this is going to be the suction side of the pump. So, you know, it's not like it's going to be letting it leak externally or anything. So we're just going to ride with, you know, the impeller. I mean, the impeller itself, you know, other than the wear where it's riding inside that ring, the impeller itself looks pretty dang good. So we're going to let it ride, you know, get this cleaned up where our seal goes and put it back together. And hopefully this pump will be ready to go for quite a few, many more hours. All right, we got our bore cleaned out real good. Now we're going to go back with the bottom part of the seal. It fits down in there with an O-ring towards the bottom, and need to lube this O-ring up. Now we don't lubing it up with soap. We don't want to lube it up with any kind of a petroleum-based solvent or anything. Otherwise, it might make that you know, O-ring expand. Not get a good fit. As expensive as this is, we got one shot to get this right. All right, that part fits down in there nice and easy. All right, now we're going to put our hydraulic motor back on there, and I marked the position on it just to make sure it got lined up just where it's supposed to. All right, now we're ready to start this part of the ceramic seal. This side of the rubber gasket goes against the impeller, so it's going to go on like this. And the instructions say do not lubricate the shaft. Ooh. Now we're ready to go back with the key, and then with the impeller. Then it says go back with our nut, and it says install blue Loctite on there. Hopefully I got some. And I'm in luck. I got just a little bit. Now it says tighten that down to 12 foot-pounds, so I need to find my torque wrench. All right, 12 foot-pounds is gonna be hard to hear the click on this. I really need one of those digital ones. It feels a lot tighter than 12 pounds, but I ain't heard nothing click. All right, here's a 14 millimeter. Yep, there's that click right there. Sure feels like I'm putting out more pressure on that pump than that. Now let's try it this way. There we go, there's 12 pounds. All right, now that seal should be seated properly to the impeller and the other part of the seal, and it should not leak anymore. And now we replace this external O-ring here, glue it up with soap. All right, now the second half ought to be ready to mate up. We'll be done. All right, there we go, one freshly resealed pump. Man, I sure hope it holds. And one of Luke Roof's, Roof Farms recent videos, he kind of made a joke at me. They was rebuilding a cylinder on their Kinsey planter, and you know, most every time when I need something resealed, most time I take it to the hydraulic shop or whatever. And it's not that I don't know how to reseal stuff, it's just for the simple fact, it seemed like I only got about a 50% success rate of resealing stuff, you know, whether it be a hydraulic cylinder, pumps, you know, whatever else. You know, I know how to do it. It's just a lot of times my luck doesn't turn out too well, and was, you know, $165 seal kit. You know, if I screw it up and then I still got to take it to the professional to get it done, I mean, you're talking about a lot of money. So that's why a lot of times when it gets to stuff like that, you know, sometimes it's better to turn to the professionals unless you're just absolutely 100% confident in your ability to do it and do it right. So I followed the instructions to the letter. I think I did it right. Where that holds, we'll see. Huh? Hopefully Kelly and Andy will be able to put this thing back on tomorrow, put some water in the sprayer, and make sure she's nice and dry underneath. We're back for a what's hopefully going to be another long day spraying. Although we are getting a little bit of a late start today, had to spend a decent amount of time this morning meeting with my crop insurance agent, just trying to determine, you know, what kind of coverage level is going to get for next year. And you know I've done a lot of talking about how expensive it's gotten to farm, how much our inputs have gone up. Well, actually, crop insurance is one area I was pleasantly surprised. Our crop insurance rates have actually dropped for 2025. And you know, somewhere for the same level of coverage I had last year, somewhere around 25 to 40% off what we were seeing last year. You know, anywhere from, you know, say $2.50 to $4 an acre. And you know, big reason that is volatility in the market is not perceived to be very much, so there's less risk to the insurance companies. And also the spring guaranteed price for our crops also is down from where it was last year. So if the insurance companies do have to pay out, they're not going to have to pay out as much, unfortunately. But anyway, it looks like after looking at all the figures, and I crunched a bunch of numbers, I'm thinking that the best bang for our buck is going to be what we had last year, which is insured at the 75% level on revenue protection with trend adjust. And what that trend adjust does is takes our historical yields and assumes that, you know, say yields from 10 years ago, we had the same genetic and agronomic advancements as what we got today, and raises our historical yields up to what would be considered, you know, levels for today. Kind of like what, you know, inflation in the monetary market, or what was worth a quarter of, you know, 50 years ago might be worth, I don't know, $1.50 today. It's kind of the same thing except with yields. And it doesn't cost very much more to get the trend adjust, and it really helps boost our actual production history, or our APH. Another couple things that we looked at is, you know, last couple of years, we've had a hard time getting a good stand of cotton. We've had to do quite a bit of replanting. Now for corn and soybeans, if we need to replant, that's already factored into our normal crop insurance coverage. But for cotton, it's not. If you want replant protection on cotton, it's something extra you've got to buy. And I looked at it, and the price isn't bad. It ranges, anywhere from $1 to $4 an acre, depending on the level you get. Like you spend $4 an acre, it gets you $60 per acre of coverage. And the last 2 years, it definitely would have paid for itself. But I'm betting on myself on making the right call this year. We're going to get a perfect stand of cotton on the first try, and I decided not to spend that money because 500 acres of cotton, say we by the maximum level, that's another $2,000, and we're in a year where every penny matters, and I could wind up regretting it come planting season, but I'm gonna try my best. I hope we got good weather, and I'm gonna make the right decision on when to plant to where we get it right the first time. Again, I may be kicking myself come May, but we're gonna roll the dice. The other thing I looked at was a new type of insurance called Eco. And what it does is it protects you against shallow loss. The highest level of insurance coverage I can buy insures my yield at the 85% level. So, I'm assuming risks from 100% level to the 85% level before insurance could theoretically kick in. Now, I'm insuring myself at the 75% level because, well, that's a price that I can afford. But what that Eco does is guarantee it protects you on shallow loss from the 86% yield to the 95% yield, and if the county yield drops into that range, then I get paid. But after looking at the historical numbers, I think like out of the last 15 years, I think Eco would have paid either 4 or 5 years, just depending on the crop. And the years that it paid good. The problem is that insurance is pretty pricey. Me insuring my corn at the 75% level in Crockett County is going to cost me somewhere around $7.50, $8 an acre. If I wanted to add that Eco insurance on top of that, I think it's going to run me somewhere around an additional $10.50 an acre. So mighty expensive. That's money that we really don't need to be spending. And like I said, the years that it pays out good. But I think over the long haul, if I were to purchase it every year, it's just like a lot of other insurance. You wind up paying more in premiums than what you would ever collect. So I elected against it this year. But anyways, other than that, not a whole lot to talk about. We're just going back and forth, spraying our strips. Andy and Kelly back at the shop, they were putting the pump back on the sprayer whenever I left, and then Andy's going to get back on sanding, removing rust, primering and painting, trying to get that sprayer ready to go, because I don't think we're going to use it this week, but I think first part of next week we're going to have to put our last shot of fertilizer on the wheat, and it needs to be ready to go from there on out, because once we do that, I mean, for the next 5 months, that sprayer is going to have to be used most likely just about every single week, and we can't afford any downtime on this. So hopefully, knock on wood, I ain't got no wood in here, but knock on wood, after the repairs that we've done to the pump and other stuff, now the sprayer is going to be ready to go for the whole season. Because I tell you what, there's one piece of equipment that if it goes down, I mean, it puts you in a bind in a hurry. A planter can go down, combine can go down. I mean, you don't like it, but it's not the end of the world. When you got weeds coming in and growing at an exponential rate, or bugs moving in, and you can't spray them, things can go south in a hurry, and that sprayer needs to be the most reliable piece of equipment that we've got. And for the most part, since we bought it, it has been, but we put a lot of hours on it since we bought it, and it's getting some age on her, and we're trying to do our best on preventative maintenance and making sure it's ready to go. But just like any piece of equipment, there's so many unforeseen things, you're not going to be able to catch them all. All right, got another long day of spraying today. Let's get filled up and get after it. We got 107 acres get done on this big old farm. All right, now what we're using to terminate our cover crop in the strips is just straight glyphosate. Then we're also putting this AMS replacement in there to lower the pH of the water. You know, here in the middle of March, you know, temperature's still a little cool, and glyphosate just doesn't work as quickly. Plants are not taking in the herbicide as well as they do, you know, when the temperatures are warmer. So by lowering the pH of the water allows the plants to take up the glyphosate a lot better and allows the chemicals to work better. I think my pump right here is about to play out, though. It's not wanting to suck the chemical up as well as it did last year. Well, I can just about guarantee you we are probably the only people in West Tennessee that's spraying today. We got another low pressure system that's going to the north, and I'll tell you what, winds are howling today. Talking about gusts up to like 35 miles an hour, and you see all that clover out there just doing this. And for the next few days, it's going to be a windy day. But what's allowing us to spray today is, for one thing, we're spraying about this far above the ground. The wind speeds are not going to be as high, plus we're so close to target. You know, we're spraying low PSI, 20 PSI, so the droplet size is bigger. And also, you know, you kind of got the hoods, depending on which direction you go, you kind of got the hoods blocking airflow from hitting the spray. So we're able to get, you know, good on target spray with no drift. Well, y'all know that sprayer pump I just got done rebuilding. Kelly and Andy put it on yesterday, pulled it out today. Started pumping water in the tank. Didn't even turn the pump on, and water just started pouring out of that seal. Kelly just sent me a video of it. I mean, didn't even turn the pump on. And that's why I don't like resealing stuff. I spent $165 on a seal. I followed the instructions to the T, and it's now worse than when I took it off. I don't know what's going on with it. I told him to take it back off again. I called my friend James Wages over there at Tennessee Ag Supply. You know, they deal with a whole lot of spraying stuff, pumps and everything else. And I asked them, you know, I pretty much knew the answer, but I asked them, hey, is there any chance y'all can get, you know, a pump for this John Deere sprayer? And he said, no, there's absolutely no way. They're made specifically for John Deere because they got a speed sensor on them. And, you know, Hi-Pro is the one that actually makes the pumps, and, you know, they will only sell that pump to John Deere. So there's no chance of getting an aftermarket one to replace it. But before I call John Deere and order a $3,000 pump, I told Kelly and Eddie to take it off, and first thing tomorrow morning they'll take it over to James and he can pull it apart and see if maybe I installed the seal wrong. I don't know, or find out maybe what the problem with the pump is, and maybe I won't have to, you know, order an entire brand new pump. You know, they didn't actually kick the pump on, so maybe if I did install the seal properly, you know, the seal's not actually damaged. I don't know. I'm pretty dang discouraged because now there's not only will I be out the cost of a pump, I'll also be out the cost of that expensive seal kit. So trying to fix it myself could potentially wind up making the repair even more expensive in the long run. And here it is on a year. I'm trying to save every penny I can, and then I wind up exasperating the problem. So frustrating.